Easy content. Put it on YouTube. Yeah. Doubling up. If you want to subscribe to the channel, you know what to do. Okay, so hello everyone. World v World stuff's happening today. World restructuring. Gail Gray posted this on the forum. She does forum-y stuff. She's in the community team. Is she on the other teams as well? But this would be obviously information she's been given by the people working on World v World at the moment. Who that actually is, though, I'm not too sure. I'm not as up to date on World v World as I used to be. Long time back in the day. So if you guys are thinking, Jebro doesn't World v World, he hardly ever Worlds v Worlds, he never streams it or anything. Before I got into PvP, I was a massive World v World player. I was around when the first ever GVGs started in Guild Wars 2 World v World. Now, there's probably not many people from back then that are even still playing World v World. I mean, there probably is, obviously, people, but not as many as there were, obviously. I was in Unity back then. That was EU, and we were on Aurora Glade. And it was awesome. Like, I was leading stuff on the server. I wasn't leading raids specifically. Demonic was. But, yeah, there was... you know what? Even guild names, like, escape my name and my brain automatically as well. But anyway, the first defining my game, right? And if you're watching this as well another time, you can actually watch the chat and understand what the hell I'm talking about at the same time, which is awesome. So I'm just going to read through it and we're just going to go through and see what we think. So a message from McKenna. There you go, McKenna Bergeron. I've said his name probably completely wrong. I'm sorry. I think I've met him, pretty sure, some point in time, maybe. But we will start. I want to update everyone on the design we currently are investigating to help achieve population balance between worlds and the goals we hope to achieve with this new world restructuring system can achieve. I can't read. So note in first sentence, not to be cynical or pessimistic or whatever other words we want to use. Investigating is a word and a phrase that you must remember to see. And this is a thing. It may not work. They may not, maybe they're not going to be able to get it to work as well in the way they want, but they are investigating. So do not get upset or disheartened by the fact that it might not be in there soon. At least they're communicating about it. Wow. Did you hear me? Communicating. Communication is good. Well done. I am very happy that they're actually talking about something. The goals of World Restructuring System are: create great matches, handle population fluctuations, balance teams, and diversify World v World experiences. It is important to keep in mind that we are still investigating. They will emphasize this many times, and working on this system. It is possible that this system will continue to evolve as we develop it, and we will be constantly testing to make sure the system meets our goals and our expectations for a quality experience. This post is an opportunity to share with you our plans for the new system and to respond to questions before the system is far along in the development process. So they've probably... I didn't say that. Maybe I did. So you can gather from this information. What can you gather, people? The thing you can gather is the fact that it's in development. So don't think this is coming like tomorrow, because it's not coming tomorrow. But I would say that maybe they could put it out earlier even than you expect, because like they said, they're going to try and work on it. So that's pretty good. I mean, Luke, it's not really... I don't know if it's that big. I think it's more... Isn't it more just like in developing a system? So it's not like they need to bring in loads of different people for it. I think it's very specific what they're trying to do. I mean, I'm not sure exactly who those people are, but it will be things like, we'll have, as we go through it, we can kind of ascertain what the kind of people they need, I guess. But they're not going to need, like, you know, artists and stuff, but they might need, like, UX designers, I guess, and people like that. But they're not going to need, like, balance and skills team. Well, I guess in a way, you know, they have to work across these kinds of places as well. But yeah, anyway, let's continue. Restructuring worlds. So even though world linking has brought world populations closer together, it's impossible for us to get populations and coverage any closer because the current worlds do not give us the granularity needed to do that. For example, in NA, Blackgate has decent coverage across all time zones, whereas worlds like Crystal Desert have higher peak times and lower off-hour times. Because world linking isn't granular enough, we don't have the ideal link that allows Crystal Desert to have coverage that is similar to Blackgate. This is why in the new world restructuring system we will remove all players from their current worlds and make new worlds every 8 weeks. This will create more granular pieces, which will allow us to avoid situations like the Crystal Desert example. You're on Crystal Desert, you can confirm. Since worlds will not exist any longer, the world selection that currently is available in Character Select will be eliminated, and instead a selection for playing even in North America or Europe will replace this. So inevitably, this is it. This is something I have been saying. You guys know I've been saying this for a long time. On my Teapot's tea time the most, I think every single time World v World comes up, get rid of servers. There is no point in them anymore. There is no server pride. No one gives a shit, and they're rubbish. What's the point of servers? There was no point in servers anyway. And now it's just regions. There's just 2, and everyone's together. It's good, isn't it? Yeah, it's really good. They should have done this God knows how long ago. They should have done this when they had mega servers. If they'd done it then, it would have been a ton better. And they wouldn't be in this position, I don't think, but hey-ho. But I think it's good. I mean, we'll be able to see exactly what that means in a bit, but there could be complications. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is I'm not insulting them. I'm saying that at least it's happening, and that's good. And it's not as easy as I think to do these things. You can't just be like, right, yeah, guys, screw service. It's done. Yeah, we're done with them. Chuck them out. What are we going to do instead? Well, I'll have to work that out, don't they? 80 in 10 minutes. Now that's not going to happen. So if you don't know what I mean by what that means, if you're watching the stream or you're watching highlight, or if you're watching on YouTube or wherever else, when I log out here, let's move that for a second. There will no longer be this window. This will be eliminated. You will not even have this. It will just literally be probably EU and America, maybe. I don't know. Or it will just be like here. It will just be a little click up, click down. And you'll be able to click in like America or Europe if you want to switch. And it'll charge you to switch regions rather than anything else. Cool. Okay. You know, I think it's about time that happened. And I am glad that is the case. Because now you can chuck the people that are actually playing World v World into World v World. Now, let's read the rest of it, because then how are they going to know who's going to be going in what world and who's going to be going where? Do you have to opt in for World v World? Is that a good idea? And let's have a look at that. So, let's have a look. World creation. And that's where our questions will be answered, I hope. Anyway. World creation. The system creates new worlds and assigns them a pre-generated name at the start of each season. We use season to describe the time between world restructuring. We plan on 8-week seasons, which is similar to the current time between links. We will discuss more about seasons later. So 8 weeks a season, so ish 2 months. World creation builds teams so they have similar predicted participation, skill coverage, and language. Team assignment moves players onto teams by calculating the contribution value of a player and using that calculation to distribute players fairly. We plan to track stats like play hours in World v World, commander time and squad size, time of day, and participation levels. The exact stats have yet to be determined, and we are open to suggestions of other stats in use in this system. This new system will expand upon the current calculation that uses play hours for linking la-di-da. If a player has played World v World before, we will be able to use the statistics from their account to sort them into a new world. The system also makes a world assignment for players who have not played World v World before. When they first begin World v World, sorry, there's a full stop there. Ideally, the system will assign a new player to a world on which their friends or guildmates play, therefore making it easier than it is at present for people to play with friends in World versus World. So is it going to take in friends list as well? Well, Stone Rogue, I wouldn't say it's PvP matchmaking on a grander scale. It probably isn't the best one. Let's not think about that. Let's just make us upset. That means there's no one playing World v World. I don't know. Rep your FIFA. I mean, why is that? It's still going to be World v World. Playing with guild mates. Okay, so playing with guildmates. We want to make sure that playing with World v World guildmates is easy in this new system. Guilds will be able to specify if they are a World v World guild. This essentially means the world restructuring system will consider that factor at the start of each season when assigning the guild to a world. On an individual player level, once a player's guild has specified they're a World v World guild, the individual player will be able to set one of their guilds as their personal World v World guild. When world restructuring happens at the start of a season, as long as you have specified your World v World guild, you will be assigned to the same world as everyone else in your World v World guild, guaranteeing you'll be able to play with your guild mates. So now there is a problem with this. There is a problem with this because if you're on a server like now, and these are the inevitable problems that they're going to have, but in order to make it better and to make it a good mode, then, you know, they really need to do this kind of stuff. And people are going to whine and complain. They're going to be like, you know, I play Guild Wars 2 17 hours a day, and I, you know, play with this guild at this time, I play with another guild at this time. And it's like, well, you know what? There's not many people like you that do that. And just have to, you know, lump it, really. Just focus on your World v World guild that you enjoy. Then there's more guild pride, and it's going to be more about guild wars than anything ever in Guild Wars 2. You know, like, because it's going to be actual guilds that are on winning servers and whatnot most of the time, rather than just like, you know, this is, you know, this server or whatnot. So I think it's kind of like that. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yes, there you go. The expansion is in the chat if you want to have a look at the details, Universe. Also, ask us any questions if you need them, man. Ask us any questions, man. Yeah, I know. Guild Wars, everyone. It's coming up in the chat. Everyone's like, Guild Wars 2? Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2? And Guild Alliances as well, which is going to come up. They haven't just updated it. No, they haven't just updated it. Okay, so creating alliances. So we also want to make sure, and this is when, you know, that other guild they may play with on their server will be like, you know what, we know these guys, and we want to get in an alliance. Cool. Okay, so have a look. Let's have a look. Creating alliances. We also want to make sure that existing World v World communities can play together in this new system. Your servers, essentially. A World v World guild will be able to invite other World v World guilds to their World v World alliance. World v World alliances function as a party for guilds. When world restructuring happens, the system assigns all members in the World v World guilds that make up the World v World alliance to the same world. Now, I think they're going to have problems with this. Because what if everyone just joins one guild? Just like, how many people can you have in a guild at the moment? Does anyone know Does anyone know the limit on guild rosters? Is it? I want to say it's 500 or something. I can't remember. Yeah, 500. It is 500. Okay, so that's still a large amount of people. That's still a large amount of people, in all honesty. It is 500. Oh, right, it actually says, okay. These WvW alliances. Now, the problem is that I reckon people are just going to join a couple of guilds. They're going to be allied, and then it's just going to be, there could be really dominant worlds. Because if you're in an alliance, are you like 100% getting into the same world map? Because I really think that that can be abused. Like, I really think that can be abused. And what if you're a guild from, like, the best guild from this server and this server, and it's just like, let's just make the best alliance ever. I don't know. We'll have to see. The first expansion is Heart of Thorns universe. I need to ease up a bit and make regular world PvP an actual thing. There's a limit on alliances. Okay, so I haven't got that far yet. There we go. Let's keep reading then. These WvW alliances will have certain restrictions on them. Okay, there you go. Such as a finite number of guilds or number of players. Our current plans for alliance size are somewhere between 500 and 1,000 members. That's still a lot of organised people. Especially now. And we are still looking when there's probably about 40, 50, something like that. And we are still considering the technical and matchmaking ramifications of the number that we will settle upon. Sometimes I just think, why don't they just, I don't know. Okay, world creation summary. So to summarize world creation, at the start of every season, our new world restructuring system will use recent statistics based on similar predicted participation, skill, and coverage to create worlds filled with alliances, guilds, and unaffiliated players. The above graph displays an example of what makes up a world under the world's restructuring system. Keep in mind, due to the algorithm used to keep worlds balanced, the number of alliances, guilds, and individual players can be wildly different between worlds, but the participation and playtime should be relatively the same. So that's dependent on players individually, and then, you know, the alliances, and they'll combine these guilds and alliances with individual players or guilds that maybe have like a lot less playtime. So they'll try and have what the, I guess, like they'll have, obviously they've got this algorithm, whatever, they'll have this like mean average playtime or mean rank or whatever, right? So average rank, average playtime across all of them. I guess I would suppose that's gotta be, that's gonna be crazy, man. They can do that. That's a big change, actually. It's pretty good. Pretty fun, right? That's good. I think that's good. I mean, that's what you want, essentially. You want essentially these, pardon me, you want essentially these worlds, and they can actually, what I actually think as well is that they should say, do you want to opt in for World v World this season? Because isn't that what this, that's the only thing that I have not sure about. So are they just doing it between all of the accounts and all of the players, or they do it between like active players in World v World now, and if they haven't been allocated a season, maybe they could just go like allocated a world, they can just go in this kind of filler world thing and just be like, yeah, well, you can play in World v World for a bit, and then next season make sure you pick a you know, sign yourself up for World v World to get put into a season. Like, that's the only thing I'm thinking. Like, what if someone then becomes really active? And that's not a bad thing, obviously, but then it outweighs, obviously, server matchups and stuff like that as well. Like, all these things can change so much, and I guess in the next season they do the same thing. They just rebalance the whole thing. Individuals go elsewhere, guilds go elsewhere, and they'll just rebalance it like that. That's a lot of balance. Yeah, I guess when they sign up for a guild, it's a guild that has space on the server or something, or like, I don't know, I don't even know. That's the only thing where I'm just like, okay, so maybe this is what's going to be talked about here. There's a lot of questions in my head at the moment. Seasons break World v World into cycles where several matches will play out. The current design for seasons is 8 weeks, but we are open to feedback. Matches are still a week long, so there will be 8 matches a season in the above scenario. During the season, we'll still be using 1 up, 1 down. Stages. Season. Once new worlds have been created and everyone has been sorted onto their World v World worlds, the new season has officially begun. During this season, players can manage their World v World guilds and alliances after reset and through the end of week 7. But their World v World guild and World v World alliances will not be updated until the start of the next season, obviously. Excluding if you are playing World v World with a guild A this season and decide to set Guild B as your World v World guild in the middle of the season, you will not be able to play with Guild B until the next season until you transfer. Ah, okay. Season end. A week before this season ends, that is during week 8 in the season, you will no longer will be able to manage your World v World guilds or alliances. Your World v World guild and alliances will be locked down at this time. Everyone is kicked out of World v World as they are with every reset. World v World will spin back up as it currently does after reset, and everyone will now be sorted into their new worlds. That's interesting. World creation. Alliances, guilds, and individual players are sorted to be on a world. This will happen at the same time as current reset. Jesus, that's a lot of... It's really? Huh. So they do all these calculations, I guess, leading up. That's why they have the week to do that, right? I guess. And then that gets put through. So you won't be able to change your alliances. So you have to change which guild you want to be with next season before the final week starts. Is that what that means? Yeah, a week before the season end, that is, during the week 8 in the season, you will no longer be able to manage your World v World guilds or alliances. There you go. So that's when you have to check up what you're doing. That's good, right? I think that's good. I think that's good. Huh. Transfers. Region transfers. Transferring between regions from NA to EU will still exist. We have not determined the cost of transferring, but a region selection will be available on selecting on the character select screen that will allow transfers. World transfers. We understand that even though this system tries to keep guilds and alliances together, there will be times during the season when people will want to change teams. Because of this, there are plans to allow transfers between worlds during a season. This means that new worlds will have size restrictions on them, as they do currently. Players will be able to select worlds from the World v World panel in the game. Worlds that are available for transfers will show up in the new World v World panel. Worlds can be in these 3 different states. Full, 100% no players can join. Guilds, 91 to 99%. A player can only transfer to this world if they are part of a World v World guild that is on this world. And open, any player can join. Worlds that have your friends on them will be suggested over worlds that do not. Oh, that's good. So it's even matching you up with people you know, maybe. So that actually might be quite cool. Hey, Zora, okay, dude, man. So that actually might be quite cool. Like a new player or a player that comes back to the game can be like, oh, World v World's changed. Which world should I go to? And then on their friends list, they've got people that they know that's still active or have signed somewhere. And they'll be assigned, you know, given the option to kind of join up with their old buddies. That's quite cool. Yeah. It's not bad, is it? Join your alliance. I will join all of them. Do you think that's pretty cool? Transitioning. The cost of transfers reads soon determined. This system is going to take time to make. As mentioned in the World v World part of the reason we did world linking was because it utilized a lot of existing tech and did not require a considerable amount of time. This allowed us to address the growing population issue quickly while also being able to address other World v World issues. I guess that happened at the start. This new system is going to make considerably more time to make. We do not have a release date, but this is going to require several months of work, and it will share resources with any other WvW changes that we work on. So it's going to take a while. I would say, what, like, how many months did they say? Several months. Earliest summer, right? If it's a year, there's no point in doing it. There's no point in doing it if it's going to be a year. The world will be dead by then. Triple. Chat is saying that they think several months is not the case. I would say the earliest would be summer. Maybe like July. The system is great because it forces people to forget the server's past, but keeps them with current and new friends. Yeah, and that's what it's about. It should be about guilds, you know, guild wars and all that stuff. So, I want to make this transition as smooth as possible. Once this system is ready, we plan to give everyone several weeks to form their WvW guilds and alliances. We also want to give titles related to the worlds on which players currently are playing when world restricting goes live. There are other transition ideas, we would love to hear them. We will continue with world linking until world restructuring is ready to ship. Yeah, I reckon June, July. Maybe, earliest. Nah, you reckon Blade Fist? That's optimistic. Several months. Several months. That's a lot. It's not that long, really, in this long scheme of things. Big scheme of things. Feedback. That was a lot of information, and I'm sure there are many questions. The team will do its best to answer them. We appreciate any feedback on this system. Your opinions of this system, as well as the community's response, will be an important part of how we tackle this project. If the reception is not great for this system, then the other alternative is most likely to continue world linking. Even though making a choice between the two systems might seem like too drastic a change for some people, we have been exploring other designs to deal with world populations for years, and we believe that world restructuring or world linking are the only solutions that meet our requirements. Simply blowing up worlds or removing people from the worlds on which they currently play is high risk, which is why we have avoided it for so long. And the only reason we are considering world restructuring now is because it allows players to maintain and continue to build some of the communities they've created through the years. It's always funny seeing these comments, and it's not to like pick on anyone in particular, but like it's just like immediately it's like, I think I don't know if it's mixed response on the forums. That's mostly being evaluated with play hours. Okay, so exactly how are players being evaluated? If someone was to run support tank build and doesn't run, see, that's the thing. Yeah, there's no way they can balance it with classes. Like, that's going to be pretty ridiculous. Well, there be new Borderlands, not at this time. So I'm looking at ArenaNet dev responses. Number of guilds still been determined for alliances. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything major. Wow, look how many pages there are. Jesus. There's how many? I mean, there's 10 plus. This is a lot. I mean, I've been saying that, and I mean, I don't need to look at that anymore. But it's good. It's good. I mean, I think overall it's not a bad thing. Whether or not I saw the issue of World v World is another thing as well, entirely, because I don't think really. Is it all about the matchups, the reasons that the World v World is the way it is, or is it the mode itself? Like, is it just like, Is it just, I mean, old hat? Is it done? Is it just like, is it boring? Is it just the same old thing over and over again, and we're just going to get, at least we get more people, so that's good. I mean, I don't know. It's the matchups and the server linking. I don't know. I honestly don't know because I don't really play it anymore. So I have no idea. There's a lot of people anti it. Yeah, because people fear change. That's what happens. People fear change in the world. I think generally it's a good thing. It should be looked at as a good thing because it's work on World v World. Is that sad? Is that bad, stream, to say that? That basically the reason it's good is because they're working on World v World. It probably is quite bad, but at the same time it's true because it's like I was saying on tea time as well, and it's very psychological. And anyone that manages a community, and I can't believe game companies or whatever don't think about this, and how their community teams don't think about this and it's not because, and half the time it might not even be because I don't even think it's about the community teams or all the people who work in balance. I actually think, again, it's from high up that they're not allowed to communicate with their players. Is the fact that, you know, you want information from the people who are taking care of you, and in this case it is developers, it is community teams, it is whoever, it is the main man. If you have communication, at least, which is what they're doing here for once, really early, which it looks like, is great. It's more similar to something that Ben did when he was talking about the PvP changes as well. They've needed to do this kind of thing since day one, and they were very much like it when Colin Jansen was in more in when he was in there, obviously, as well. I mean, he seemed like he was really on it in terms of, you know, communicating with people. They opened up programs, PvP, they were talking to people, you know, they had all these different shows and hyping stuff up. And now it's like, you know, nowadays it's just like, you know what, guys? You can learn about it in game. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. People don't give a fuck about the actual they don't want to know a bit, like, you know, right guys, something's gonna happen and it's gonna happen this year. You're just gonna make sure you log in. No one cares. No one gives a fuck about that. Everyone is impatient nowadays. They just want to have the things, or they want to know that things are happening. That is the way the world is. It is the way the world has been for a long time. But for some reason, we're stuck in 1993. Not even that. I don't even know. Like, it was probably more hype around games back then. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this all worked. This all worked back in the day. Like when it was early on, it was really good. But now they just, I mean, they're doing it at least now. Do I think it's too late though? I am not sure. I think it might be too late. In terms of like, and I'm just being honest with you guys, I'm not bullshitting you. I have the greatest massive respect for ArenaNet. I know they're my friends. There's people I know who work there, working these modes as well. And I'm not saying it's no one's fault specifically. I just think it's the time it is in the world at the moment. There are a lot of decent Realm versus Realm games that are coming out around the time this is probably going to ship, which is probably why they're doing it as well. They've got to have that in the back of their mind. There's going to be Crowfall. I don't know if Camelot Unchained is going to be out this year. Crowfall soft launch, at least. They're the two main ones. There is a couple others. I don't think they're this year. But anyway, there's some more MMOs coming out this year, I guess. But I don't know if it's going to be too late. I think they'll get everyone joining for the first month, for the first season, and then for the switch over to the next. But then, I don't know. Yeah, I think you're right, Luke. I think you're dead right. I don't think it is the massive focus for them. No, I think you're right. Same for PvP. It's not like, it's not me being saucy or angry, because I think I accepted that a long time ago, and I still play the game. You know, I still play the game, and I still love the game, and I love the community and the combat and everything in it. Like, it's not a gripe really, more than it's probably more of a business decision now more than anything. The saucy, yeah. It's probably a business decision now more than anything. And that's the way it is, you know, because at the end of the day, you have to run a business. That's what happens. But I do sincerely think that the way they're running their business is in question at the moment more than ever. Because no one knows about their game. I mean, it's like this is easily one of the best MMOs out there right now, easily. But I mean, and actually, what was it? I can't remember. Is it you, Luke, who linked all the? But we've had like links of like the different amount. Pardon me, the amount of money that's been raised that Guild Wars 2 has made in the last year, and apparently it's like ridiculously higher than like most of us or any of us expected. And I'll try and stick that in the link for this video if you're watching on YouTube and whatnot. And if someone could link me that would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, I think it's good. But you know, advertising for 87 million, that's something around that, isn't it? But something like that is awesome. Like, and it's very surprising that they were able to. But I think it was mainly done via the community rather than ArenaNet. So you got to think about how much money they actually missed out on, how much of community they actually missed out on in the first place. Because if that can be done by players alone, imagine what could have been done if, you know, maybe ArenaNet had done some as well. And it's not like they did none. I mean, you still see like panels and advertisements in places like I do when I go on YouTube and whatnot. $87 million is what Guild Wars 2 made in 2017. I mean, that's pretty good. But if you think about how much money that is a month. But yeah, so I don't know. Is it good? Is it bad? I mean, I can, if they're still here, they're still running, so it must be fine. You think they're working on something else? I think if they want to remain a company and they want to remain in the world of gaming, that if they are not working on anything else, then that would not be good. Because their game is 5 years old. And they have like Path of Fire and Heart of Thorns, but there is no mention of another expansion. And it's September. It's been 4 months. You know? And I don't think that, I thought they would have mentioned it by now if there was going to be another one. But there's still loads of story left. There's loads of living story left. There's loads of stuff left until potentially another expansion even comes out. So, I mean, 1.5 to almost 2 years. It just depends. They did, Luke. They mentioned a new expansion this early after Heart of Thorns. They mentioned Path of Fire really early. They mentioned it really early. It was very quick. It was like, it was literally I think 3 or 4 months afterwards. And we knew something was being worked on. Like, they mentioned they were working on another expansion. I mean, if they, you gotta hope they happen soon, because otherwise, I don't know. But we'll have to see. And maybe there's a sense I was talking about this on the stream the other day about MMOs and whether or not they're actually in decline. We were saying, you know, that maybe there's a dip at the moment, but we don't think that's going to be the case for a while, you know, for a long time yet. I think, you know, Guild Wars 2, we like Guild Wars 2, we like the combat. You know, the story is good. The combat for me is the main thing, obviously, with PvP. And obviously the glorious outfits. But yeah, otherwise, that's the WvW Changes. I mean, I think they're pretty good. Talk about it if you want. Comments, theories, words. If you're watching this on YouTube, put stuff in the description. I'm just kind of read it to you and just gave you a few thoughts here and there. So, ta-da! There you go.